Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Build Your Best Life with Deborah D. Smith. I am so excited to have you here today. My platform is designed to assist high school age and young adult males as they follow my basic principles to overcome obstacles from their personal lives and society to build their best lives. I believe it is better to train early rather than to fix later. So I am super excited today. Today is second Thursday. It is
Yeah.
coffee chat with me and my girlfriend.
Hey, girlfriend.
Yay! So we are ready.
Ready.
So everyone has a purpose for their lives. You need to stop limiting yours. When you think you can never do something, you place yourself in a box. And opportunities don't come in a box. So we are
Oh,
here to talk about a great subject today, right?
right. I'm excited. Yeah.
Okay, Carol.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm sorry. I thought you were going to say something else, but it's always exciting to be here on the second Thursday to have our coffee and just simply chat. So, tonight, in your book, Miss Deborah, we are going to look at the chapter that you talked about, never say never. Wow, I love that. Never say never. And we know, I kind of think, I said, when we think about the word never, never seems to be an absolute. I'm not going to change. It's not possible. And so you're telling us tonight that one of the things that we should do is never say never. So, how do these words themselves hinder or limit our thoughts?
That's a good question, Carol. Thank you. I kind of put never in that same little box that I have that I put away that can't is in. Never is a negative word. It
Mhm.
limits your possibilities. You know, people have generational curses. They have things from their past that they're not proud of. They've made mistakes in the past. They have people that speak negatively to them. They speak negative. All that comes along with that never. Words, like
Mhm.
you say, words have power, you know.
Mhm.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so that anything that has to do with never, not, don't is negative. And
Mhm.
so when
Mhm.
you continue to be around using negative terms and doing negative things, then you get a negative mindset. And that's not
Exactly.
good at all.
So never is like charming yourself and depriving yourself of something that would, you could possibly have, but because you've already, like you said, spoke those words, you thought those words, it's almost like you like you say, it's that box, whether it's a physical box or that invisible box that we those kind of words put us in and make us think that there's nowhere else we can go. So it's kind of like our own little personal box, like you said, we put each other in. But you also said, when we start thinking about the negative, never say never, you said, think bigger. Don't limit yourself to hindering thoughts, such as our first one that we're going to look at tonight is, I will never earn six figures. Never, ever earn six figures. Can you imagine saying that and speaking that over yourself as a young person to say, or anyone who can say, you'll never, ever earn a certain amount of money because things change. And so you're kind of like you say, putting yourself in that little box. And when you say never, you're saying there's no possible way that this could happen. You want to share about that? The
Um,
six figures.
yeah, 6 years. I mean, today is probably a little bit more, but the
Probably.
6 figures, it's like, oh, that's so much money. I can never do that. My parents didn't finish high school. I don't have a high school diploma. I have a GED. I don't have a trade. I just can't. I'm not. I'm shooting 6 figures. I just can't barely make five. I'm not going to do that. It's never, don't, can't, whatever. How do you know
Hmm.
if you don't try? And
If
then
you
that
don't
should not
try.
be your overall goal anyway. You want to be
Hmm.
best that you can be at whatever job it is, first of all. Like Coach Miller always tells, you want to have a job that you don't mind being on, effective
Mm-hmm.
living. You're going to have
Mm-hmm.
so much fun. If you don't get to take a vacation, you're all right, you cool. You have to love your job. So and I used to tell people all the time when I was in corporate America, I said, look, you got to care about what you do. You got to have passion about it. I say, somebody ask y'all what y'all do. Well, I get the numbers and I get the rates and I put them in the system so people can get their bill. What does that mean? I said, if your job is to pick up paper, I said, watch this.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Deborah Smith. I was hired to pick up paper. Yes. What I do is when I come in the morning, I get all of my equipment and I'm prepared. I'm prepared to get on the clock at 8 o'clock. I walk
Uh-huh.
around and everything that I see that is not in place, I'm getting it. I'm picking it up. I'm moving chairs around. I'm moving tables around. I'm making sure that this place is spick and span. You could probably eat off the floor. But that's
Wow.
my job, and I am proud to do it. And I go from building to building, and by each hour, I'm in a new location. And you will never see paper on this campus because I am great at what I do.
Wow.
Yes, I want to be a paper picker upper.
I bet that changed the way they look at things, huh? But you're right. It's like you just took that from a negative position and to show them how it can be positive when you take that responsibility, no matter what your job is, no matter what it is, you have to take pride and be responsible and take ownership, right?
Right.
Of what you've been asked to do. And don't just look at it as just some task that you got to do, just a job, and that you don't know. When you start looking at it like that, with what you just said, that can make somebody else want to look at their job a little bit differently and be able to see the positive. Sometimes we can't see the positive because we're so busy focusing on nothing but the negative.
Yeah,
This
you
just
don't want to do.
yeah, the things we don't want to do, and especially if you want to look at it like this no one else is doing this job and how this makes me look, and not looking at it as an opportunity for it to be some progression in that and you can move to something else that may not be where you're going to always be, but for now, like you say, enjoy where you are, enjoy, be grateful that you even got that
You have
particular
a job.
job to pick up paper, right?
Right. Yeah, and then if you are the best that you can be at that, and you have good work ethics, then you begin
Hmm.
to move up. And hey,
Right.
you'll have that six figures before you know it. It's
Hmm.
not
Hmm.
always, it's good, and I know times are different, but it's not always that you have to have that best education or whatever. But if you have
Hmm.
good work ethics, you are
Hmm.
a pleasant person to work around,
Hmm.
you're not lazy, you're
Hmm.
going to get further than that person that's sitting over there, like drumming on the desk. Okay, I can clock out at 4:30, so it's like 4:20. I got to straighten up my desk,
Hmm.
get my purse and my keys, and make sure at 4:30 I'm up out of here. All I got to do is hit the
Right.
button.
Hmm. Waiting on time to clock in and waiting on time to clock out, right?
Right.
But you are so right. And can you imagine, that that's how you live your life, waiting on that to swipe your card out, or waiting on that time clock to get to 5 o'clock so that you can go home. And so you also mentioned how important it is to have that integrity in what you do as well. And how important is that to go along with how you see your job, not just being just any old job, but even like you say, hard work and integrity. They kind of go together a little bit, you know?
Yeah, and a lot of times you have to, care about what you're doing. A lot of people say, "Well, I'm on this job, and I'm going to do just enough to get by." But I remember my at the company that I worked at for 41 years. My first job there, I was in a typing pool. And
Hmm.
back then, it's a long time ago. I'm aging myself now. We had carbon paper.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
In the departments I worked in, we had, I think, yellow paper, Well, canary paper was for Medicare A, I think, and then green was for Medicare B. And then you had, I think it was 6 carbon sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were transcribing medical terms. So
Okay.
this was, we were transcribing, and it was so, tedious. But my supervisor said, you can't make corrections. Well, they provided the yellow and green whiteout,
Mm-hmm.
but they said, don't make corrections. So what? Everybody around me, what did they do? They made corrections. If I was on the last line and I made a
Uh-huh.
mistake, I started over.
Mm-hmm.
So stupid. Why are you starting over? Girl, I just correct that and go on to the next one. She said, don't make corrections.
Uh-huh.
It's my integrity, but that's the way my mom raised me. Whatever job you're doing, you do it to the best of your ability. You do it
Right.
like somebody's working for you. How would you want somebody to do
Wow.
something for you? So whatever instructions I was given, that's what I always did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So before you know it, I was section leader.
Right. Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
who did she think she is? Well, I did what I was supposed to do.
Exactly. Exactly.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
And those are good. That's good principle. Like you said, what your mom said, to just do the best job that you can do. And that kind of leads me to what you were saying too, because sometimes we think we can be too old. You can be, I'm too old to change, or I'm too young to be, developing good work ethics and good work skill. So you even mentioned, and tied this into Jeremiah 29:11 in the scripture. So share with us how that ties into uh, never saying never, and earning those 6 figures, and integrity on the job, and making sure that you have good work ethics, and what that reward will be like when you do those things. So
okay, I'm going to answer that, but I wanted to refer back up here to Cynthia Ferguson. Hi, Cynthia.
okay.
Thank you for tuning in. Cynthia says, when I was young, I said I would never work in the medical field or in a school. Laugh out loud. Now look at me, the best job I've ever had. I'm a school nurse. If I
Mm-hmm.
had not limited my thinking, I could have probably been here a long time ago.
Wow.
See,
Mm-hmm.
she's on a
Mm-hmm.
job that she likes, but that was because she changed that mindset.
Exactly. Uh-huh.
Great
Yeah.
job, Cynthia.
And a great school nurse, Cynthia. I already know who she is. So yeah, but it just like Cynthia saying, if you have that mindset that you would never, it's kind of like you're not giving yourself to the possibilities that could probably happen if you would just open up your mind and be optimistic instead of pessimistic. So yeah, so you want to share now with about Jeremiah 29:11?
Sure.
Okay.
That says, for I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So,
Mm-hmm.
the Lord has so much for us. He is our Father. He wants to see us do well, and He has a plan for each of us. That's why He gave us all talents. There was no one that was left out. You couldn't say you
Mm-hmm.
was at the front of the line or the back of the line. I don't care where you were in that line. We all got some talents.
Right.
Because He
Right.
has a purpose for us, and He wants us to use them. But then when we go, never, I can't do this, I can't do that, well, I can't make 6 figures. I know I just went to high school. All these people that work around me got degrees. I just got a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If I had thought that way, I wouldn't have got where I got, because
Mm-hmm.
when I was initially in my area, everybody else came from different companies. We were underwriters, and so they all had college degrees. Well, I had high school diploma, but I worked hard. I learned. I asked questions. So I could do everything that they could do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I had that ethics behind me and integrity, so I was always in place. I wasn't someone that called in, because you can be a hard worker. You can be very, very smart, but if you're gonna call in and they can't depend on you,
Wow.
people
That's another issue. If you're not dependable too, then
Right.
you might not ever get to where you want to be if they can't rely on you. And I like what you said too, because sometimes we do think because a person has a higher education than you, that we already, let people limit themselves because they think that they're not educated. But like you said, what you did, you worked hard, you had integrity, you were responsible. So all of those will put you in a different category if you start doing some of those things that people say you can't do. And so I really do like that, because you put yourself in a position. I know you were talking about, you listen and you take notes, and how important that is if you are in a learning situation, or if you are learning something at a different time. It's so important that you take the notes that you're going to need to remember, because I have a sister that talked about how she had to train other people, and they would not write notes, and they were always coming back to her, asking her over and over again. And she said, I just told them, here, I'm going to give you this book. You need to start writing things down. But sometimes that takes a little bit more responsibility as well, to know that you have to be responsible for writing things down, that so that you can't rely totally upon your memory, especially if you're in a new position or you're trying to learn something new. You must be able to come up with ways that you can remember and that's kind of like showing an initiative, right?
Right.
Yeah,
Yes.
on the job. All right. Well, I love that because you remind us what the Lord says about each one of us, that He does have a plan for us. And my plan may not be like your plan, but He still has a plan for each one of us. And if we could just think about, that's the plan we want to look at. And sometimes that will cancel out some of that negative talk, self-talk, and speaking out those words that you're putting in the atmosphere and those kind of things. So
Yes.
if you can't think good about yourself, who else, how can you help anyone else? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, so
And
you
then it says, like you said, there is no reason to limit yourself. How we speak to ourselves, how we put those, like you said, back to the box, how you put yourself in those boxes, and you are limiting yourself and keeping yourself from even having the mindset to even want to move forward or do something very differently. So let's go on to another one you talked about in the book. You talked about, I absolutely love this one, Deborah. You talked about, I won't eat anything, anything that I can't pronounce or haven't heard of before. Now, talk about that, because that can put us in some limiting situations. And somebody said, if you ever go overseas and you put yourself there, you might starve to death if you won't eat some of the stuff that you've never ever tried. So talk about that, why we limit ourselves when we say, I won't eat that because
well,
I can't pronounce it, or whatever the reasons are.
but people, for whatever reason, and you can go back 40 years, 30 years, whatever, and maybe people couldn't communicate as well, but escargot, es what? I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna eat it. I'm not gonna try it. Well, what
Uh-huh.
about oysters Rockefeller? Now it would eat oysters, but oysters Rockefeller. What? I don't
Uh-huh.
like Rockefeller. Why I want to eat something that got his name in it? People could come up with some crazy stuff. But
Uh-huh.
if you put yourself in a box and you don't try things, how do you know whether you like them or not?
That's
You
true.
don't
That
know.
is so true. And when you said that, I thought about something simple. Like, I used to tell my mother, I'm never gonna eat that liver, because they cook liver and onions and gravy and stuff like that. And I'd be like, I'm not eating that, a liver. Then later on, I tried it, and I was like, this is not too bad. So you're right. We do have to kind of get ourselves out of the box, because how can you live your best life, like you said, without ever trying something new? Because there's so many places and that we've never gone. And if we limit ourselves to things that, we don't want to accept or merge into the culture because the food doesn't look like what we wanted to, or we've never been introduced to that, you're absolutely right. It is limiting us. But you have a great story in here about Mr. Thomas. I love that one about Mr. Thomas. So share with them about Mr. Thomas and his students. I love this one.
Well, this story, of course, I changed the names, but this story is a true
Absolutely.
story. And when I got promoted to the 8th grade was when we became desegregated. And so, so I go to, school, and most of our classes, the minorities, there are only a few. And so in Mr. Thomas's class, he was a math teacher, but not only did he teach math, but he wanted us to learn different things. And so he was going to take his class to this art gallery to show us how, art looks, and, famous artists or what have you. And he said that he was going to take us to eat, get pizza afterwards. Okay, so during that time, minorities, you ate what your parents cooked at home, and most parents were not cooking pizza. We were like looking at each other like, pizza? Pizza? So we all told him, I don't eat pizza. I never had pizza. I don't eat pizza. He was a wise person, but we were like, all three of us said, Mr. Thomas, we don't eat pizza. So he's like, that's fine. Don't worry about it. I'll stop by somewhere else and get y'all something. You like hamburgers? Right. Yes, sir. So, so we go to the museum, and sure enough, he stopped by McDonald's and got us some hamburgers and fries, and we went on to the pizza place. And so, he came around to each one of us, and he said, well, pizza is very, very good. You should try it. Just try a piece. Boy, let me tell you, one of my favorite foods today is pizza. Give me some pizza. Hey, pizza and a Dr. Pepper. Hey.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And so you said, pizza?
Yeah, so he was smart enough to know, well, these kids probably never had pizza, so I'm gonna try to get them to try it. But what if he had not, been the type person he was? We wouldn't have tried pizza then. Maybe never would have tried pizza, So you cannot limit yourself just because you never had something. You have to try something. It couldn't have been all bad if all the rest of the kids were eating it, know. But because we never had it, never heard of it, like,
that is too fun. So tell us how that's kind of relevant to, learning how to build your best life. Because if you don't expose yourself to new things, how is that going to affect you and affect anyone as far as being able to not build their best life?
When you're building your best life, you are building a life that is excellent in all areas of your life. So you should be at a place where you learn basic principles about life. So you're going to be able to go to nice restaurants, nice hotels. When you get older, maybe like a senior trip, you might want to go. What if your class wants to go to Paris on your senior trip? What are you going to say? I'm not going over there. First of all, I'm going to get there, and then secondly, I'm going to eat. But you want to be the best that you can be in all phases of your life. If you're saying, well, I want to be an entrepreneur, I'm going to have this business, and it's going to be all of that. Where you're going to have important clients. So you're going to make your clients eat everything that you eat? They're going to eat chicken and mashed potatoes and some cornbread all the time? You got to open yourself up, because you are going to be interacting with people from different cultures, different countries, states. And people have allergies. So you have to become familiar with different things. You putting yourself in the box. You're in the box. and you're limiting yourself, then you're going to limit your clientele. You're talking about not making those six figures. You're not going to get up there because you're not going to have any clients.
Right.
When you're building your best life, that's your best life. Your family, your business, people that you associate with, the etiquette, how to treat ladies, how to date,
Wow.
everything. All that comes into building your best life. That's a nice, neat package.
Right. And it all goes together and work together as well. And I love what you said too about I love the Psalms 34:8 you talked about, but then you said that the exposure or open their eyes or open you all's eyes with that pizza, just being exposed to the pizza, open your eyes to the possibilities and help them move out of their comfort zone. Because we can get in that comfort zone and want to stay there because it's easy. And like you said, if you want to make six figures, you may have to have clientels that you're going to have to engage them and learn to appreciate the food that they eat, learn to appreciate some of their values. But if we're in that box and we think that, like you say, everybody got to come around and eat steak and potatoes and gravy, and they may not be accustomed to that. So that can be so self-limiting. Then you talked about Psalms 34:8, and I love that. Just taste and see, huh?
Yes, the Lord is good.
The Lord is good, but you got to be willing to taste, right?
Yes.
And see. Yeah, so even with the pizza situation, you guys were coerced into tasting it, and you found that, like you say, now that's one of your favorite food with a Dr. Pepper. It's good. You're good to go, huh?
Right.
Absolutely. I love that. But yeah, and I love how you're just kind of tying all of those things together, because who would have thought not wanting to eat something would be some little part of our lives or their lives that would keep them from building their best life. Because when you if you don't relate those two and tie those things together, sometimes we can just miss out on those things, knowing that you want to build your best life, but here's something could be limiting you because you won't step out and try something new and try something different. And just like you say, the word exposure, you got to be willing to be exposed to something that's out of your cult, that's not necessarily in your culture, but you got to be willing to look at it and see if this is going to help me get in that position that I can do some six-figure work or not, but I could be limiting myself. So
yes,
anyway, that's really good. And like you said, it makes sense that you need to taste something before you can determine whether or not you like it. You got to be willing to take that chance and taste it. Yeah. So anything else you want to share on that? I just never tied the food situation to building my best life, but thank you for bringing that out as well,
yeah.
because we just sometimes don't think that way. Well, let's move on to the third one. And can you tell us, you talked about the word uh, avophobia, avophobia or aerophobia. I think either one is pronounced. Talk about that first before we go into the details about you said I will never travel on an airplane. So that can be one of the things. And that's one of the words that I thought perhaps, you want to share with us what that really means.
Okay, well, it's either avophobia or aerophobia. It's two different words, but they mean the same. And it's a fear of flying. It's just simply that. They terrified of flying, so they can get on a plane and just be nervous the whole time, or like holding on, or asking somebody, "Do you mind if I hold your hand?" They just, they're just afraid. No, nothing's ever happened to them. They don't know anybody that anything happened to them, but it's the concept of all that metal in the sky. What's holding it up? I'm going up there. I'm terrified.
Yeah, it can be a little alarming when you think about it. But you talked about the Muhammad Ali and his fear. Talk about that a little bit. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yes, many probably don't know that Muhammad Ali did suffer from this. and he had suffered from it from as long as he could remember. And he, I guess he didn't talk about it much, but in 1950, and I'm not sure why he had to, but he had to get on this flight in 1950, and he was going from Louisville to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So he's already terrified, but he gets on this plane and there's turbulence. So he happened to get on the plane the day when it's storming. So the plane is shaking and everything, and they said Muhammad Ali was up there screaming, and this was when he was still Cassius Clay. But he's screaming and praying, Lord, get me from up here, just hollering, get me down. Now, Muhammad Ali now, let's think about it. Muhammad Ali was Cassius Clay then, but then Muhammad Ali, the greatest.
Right.
Greatest. You want people to look up to you, the greatest, but he's afraid. So he kept on, but it's like, I'm not gonna get on another plane. But then he found out after doing some research that his father was afraid as well. So he may have just picked it up from him. Because back in the day, people would say, man, if God wanted man to fly, he would have gave us some wings.
I heard that one.
So for whatever reason, he was just afraid. So, he had changed his name to Muhammad Ali, and then he was supposed to be in the Olympics. Well, the Olympics that year, 1960, they were going to Rome.
Wow.
Now, how was Muhammad Ali going to get to Rome if he didn't get on the airplane? Because he had said,
no other way.
Again. You get me out of this storm, I'm not going to get on the plane. So he went to his coach at the time, Joe Martin. He's like, man, I can't go to Rome. Can you imagine him? I can't go to Rome. I can't go. I want to go. But no, I can't go. I'm not going to fly. I'm scared to fly.
I'm not going to be able to do
it. And so he talked to him, Muhammad, there's no way we can get to Rome if you don't fly. Yeah, I guess I just won't go. I'm not going to go. I can't fly. I'm not going. I'm the greatest, but I'm not going to fly.
But I'm not going.
Muhammad, if you don't go to the Olympics, you may never get another opportunity to go. And then the only way you can go is to fly. I mean, you can try it.
Right.
We're all going to be on the plane. Well, Muhammad told him okay, but what Joe Martin didn't know, Muhammad Ali didn't just take his word for it. Muhammad Ali called the Air Force. Hey, this is Muhammad Ali. I got to get on the plane. When the last time when the 10 things went down? He wanted to know when was the last time a plane fell from the sky. He was just terrified.
I can imagine.
They told him, it was very likely that an airplane would fall from the sky. His chances were, less if he were in a car. He would get hit by a car before he would ever fall from the sky in a plane. So he finally went, he decided to go, and, the rest is history. This man went and he won these gold medals. But let's think about it. Never say never. I never get on a plane again. What if Muhammad Ali, the greatest, and he was the greatest, if he had decided, I'm not going to get on that plane.
Wow.
I'm not going to Rome. He had never got those gold medals. That might have been the end of his career. We will never know. But never might have got him or never.
Exactly.
Get the TKO or anything.
Right.
So you limit yourself. He was afraid, but he had to overcome that. And not to say that he got on the plane one time and he was fine. He was nervous every time he got on there. He said it took him probably like 20 years before he was comfortable getting on a plane.
Wow.
He did, So we have to do some things sometimes.
Right. Absolutely.
It's scary when you do it for the first time, but
everything.
Don't do it.
And once again, let's talk about, we got to get out of our comfort zone. And like you were saying, the reality of it is he had to decide which never he was going to choose, right? Never, I'm not going to never get on a plane, or take a chance that he would never have an opportunity to be able to fight for that championship and for that medal. So he had to choose between which never was going to be the one that he was going to do. But like you said, he did some research, and that is amazing, because I've heard other people say that. And when you, like you were saying, more people die in car crashes than they actually die, in a plane. But I think because it can be so many people at one time when we hear about crashes, I think that could be one of the fears. But and we don't always hear about every time someone has an actual car wreck or something like that, and all the fatalities of it, unless you kind of do some research. But I'm glad he decided to get past his fear, because we might not be saying Muhammad Ali the greatest had he not moved into that position. So that really does tie into us being in a place where we've got to get out of a place where we are not saying that our mode of transportation, you will never get in a certain mode of transportation simply because you said never, and you allow that fear factor to get in. And you just said too, anytime we try something one time or for the first time, we will have a little reservation or a little bit of fear. But then, like you said, he stepped forward. He did all his research regardless, but he did end up getting on the plane, and probably realized what the benefits are when you get on a plane. When you think about how long you have to drive to get, like you say, he couldn't go anywhere if he didn't get on a plane. So that was out. But just how long it takes people to travel by car
Right.
than just hopping on the airplane and getting it done. So yeah, and like you say, he was pushed up against the wall as far as that transportation was concerned. So once again, never say never, right?
Right.
And sometimes you got to try or taste something to see if it is good. So try flying, like you said, try flying. You may like it once you realize all those hours that you use in a car. You be like, oh no, I can't do that. I really can't. I would rather just go ahead and get there. And all of the hours you miss traveling, where you could be enjoying where you're going instead of just sitting there in a car. So I love that about never say never, never say never, never say what you won't eat, never say how much money you can make. Never choose your mode of transportation to say one or the other will not work. So let's look at the last one that we're going to talk about today. And it is, I won't marry anyone from a different race, ethnicity, or faith. So, Miss Deborah, please share with everyone about that one, because I was like, for real? Are
Yeah.
you serious? I was like, oh my goodness, you got to talk about that one.
Being in different circumstances, being in different places, talking to different people, you can overhear people talking sometimes. Well, I'm not marrying anybody. If they're of color, they'll say, well, if they're not of color, I'm not marrying them. My mama told me I better stick with my own kind. Like, okay. And you hear somebody else say, well, my family would disown me if I married someone of color. Or you have someone and they may be of Indian descent, and then they say, well, I have to marry someone from my country that my parents selected for me. And you're like, well, you have to marry somebody because your parents picked them out for you? And it's like, what? I was like, so I forgot who it was. But one day I said, okay, I'm confused. Why are you confused, Deborah? I said, because I thought that when you get married because you love somebody. They said, yeah, you do. You so silly, girl. You do. That's why you get married, because you love people. I said, well, you won't tell your heart who to fall in love with. And then they looking at me like, how you know who you're to fall in love with? If you are you open up yourself, because God made us all.
Oh, yeah.
He made us in different shapes and sizes and colors. That's the way he made us.
Exactly.
And so he didn't say, well, I need all of you to stay over here, I need all of you to stay over here, and then all of you stay over here. So you work with different people, you interact with people, you laugh and talk with people. So you telling me that you like somebody so much that you would sit and laugh and talk with them, have drinks with them, eat with them. They bring you something they cooked in their house, you would eat it, but you wouldn't entertain marrying them.
Right.
Sound like something wrong with that picture.
Yes, very much so. Very disheartening, right?
Right. You
Very
know,
disheartening. I love that, because sometimes we've all been kind of guilty of making those kind of statements and putting people in boxes and not, like you say, if you marry for love, you said that if you genuinely marry for love, can your heart control ethnicity and faith? And if you really love someone, that answer is what? No, it cannot. And
yeah.
so we can't allow other people to put us in those boxes if that person, if that's who you really love. Because we know you can marry someone of the same faith, same ethnicity, and it can be a messed up situation
Mhm.
because you did marry that person for all of those reasons and love as well. But I love that you're making us look at that a little bit differently because we can be guilty of that, saying those kind of things and putting that kind of pressure on other people when that's really, like you said, that's not how God intended for it to be. He made us all uniquely and wonderful, and like you said, he knows the plan he has for us, and he has no respect of person. So we have to begin to look at that, like you said, biblically, to see what God is saying instead of our opinion, and not let someone coerce you into not loving the person that you're really in love with, because they don't look like you, they don't cook like you, they don't act like you. So that's great information, and I really love that too. So
But even
that
down
is,
to the same religion, people will
yeah.
say, well, I can only marry somebody if they're Catholic. Okay, but what if your heart say you love somebody and they are Baptist or they are Episcopalian or they are they don't even go to church? I mean, that's something that you can talk about. You know,
Right.
what is it about your religion that you like, and explain it to
Hmm.
me, and then they do the same, and you talk about it, and you either participate. And I know some people say, well, we'll raise the kids this way, but you keep your faith. I'm not gonna try to change you, but can we raise the kids as Catholics? I don't have a problem with that.
Hmm.
If they get older and they want to do something else, then they can when they understand. But
Hmm.
that, to me, but who am I? But to me, that's just not a reason not to be with somebody that you really love, because
Mm.
if you've been in a situation and like you say, you could have started out loving that person, but things
Hmm.
happen and you've been in a situation and you were miserable.
Mm.
I think that you can be in a situation and you can be with somebody that you love and you want to be with them for the rest of your life. It's someone that cares for you when you're sick. They know
Hmm.
they can finish your sentence for you. They're always thinking about you. I just
Right.
call. What you want? I just call you.
Hmm.
Are you
Hmm.
gonna let a religion or a culture or food or some dumb something stop you from being
Hmm.
happy and blessed with what God wants you to have?
Hmm. I mean, that's really something to even think about, that, because we will hear in biblically that can be, if we talk about the faith thing and they're different, we'll put unequally yoke on there as well. But like you were saying too, can you talk about it, because that could be one way that the other person can be drawn into what you think is the better choice or whatever. But to limit yourself, because if you love somebody, you keep going back to that word love. If it's genuine love, are we going to turn that person away? So that's good food for thought, Miss Deborah. Good food for thought. So as we kind of bring this to a close, that's what you had here also about those differences, and you got a lot of kind of statistics on people now. People are kind of marrying, different races and different faiths. So it looks like somebody's listening and moving on toward that. But you did say, food for thought, building your best life includes having the right person walking beside and supporting you along the way. I love that. A person that's walking alongside you. That's what you really want in the end, right?
Right.
That right person walking beside you, and whether they are the same ethnicity or not. You really want someone who you got their heart and they have your heart. And so that's what's really important, I think. Well, anything else you want to share on that with Miss Deborah, on the relationship and how this all a relationship tie into never saying never?
Yes, and it's like I said, every aspect of your life is important as you want to have an effective life, as you want to build your best life. It's all portions of your life. And if you're in a relationship because someone told you that's who you need to marry, or, well, this is my third choice, but we the same race and we same denomination, so I'm gonna go with the third choice. Yeah, that's where you want to live. Hey, you not building your best life. I want to build my best life.
Right, exactly.
My days are limited. The ones I got, I want to be happy. I want to know I got my ride or die with me, my best friend. We have to be the same religion, but if we weren't, we could talk about it. Because a lot of times people, as far as religions, that's the religion that your parents were and their grandparents were and their grandparents were. And you go to church and you love it and you learn and you love the Lord. But if somebody sat down and y'all dissected it, would you change your mind?
Oh, possibilities, huh?
Yeah.
That's what Linda Patrick. You never say never. Linda Patrick said, you have to be open to possibilities.
Yes.
And that is so true, because it goes back to how we started this conversation. Never say never. Don't put yourself in a box. Don't limit yourself. Don't be open to the possibilities. Taste and see that it is good. And if you don't do that, that's not helping you build your best life. And like you were saying, you want to have somebody, when it comes to relationship, that's going to be your ride or die, that's going to be there, and you can depend upon that person. And when, like you say, gonna be with you through thick and thin. So that's the kind of relationship you want. So we've talked tonight about never say never, right?
Right.
I will never make six figures. I won't eat anything I can't pronounce and haven't heard of before. And I will never travel on an airplane. And we kind of ended tonight with, I won't marry anyone from a different race, ethnicity, or faith. Any last minute things you want to share, Miss Deborah, about all of these wonderful things? And we know never is very negative, and we don't ever want to say never, because how we limit ourselves when we do that, mentally, physically, emotionally, and all of those. So any last minute things you want to share?
Just keep yourself open. And like I said, take that word and put it in that same box that CAN''T is in. Just put them in a box and put them away, because you don't want to limit your life. Your life is full of possibilities. You can be what you want to be. You can do what you want to do. You can love who you want to love. But you have to put in the work. Nothing's going to be given to you on a platter. You set goals. You work toward those goals. Everybody has someone assigned to them to help them. You got questions. You don't know which way to go. You find out who is assigned to help me, and you get that help. And you go and you be the best that you can be. Because we know that God has a purpose for your life. Giving it to you. He's giving you the talents. So it's up to you to take all that stuff and put it together and make it work. And I know that you can do it.
Yeah, that's good.
They tell you this stuff over coffee,
Because we want you to build your best life. And so, and the way you do that, and like you said, you got great principles and things in the book, Build Your Best Life, that you can just continuously go back and refer to, because it's going to be a continuous learning. I think you talked about mindset. And so we have to begin to, the only way we're going to make a change is going to start first with us thinking very differently and speaking very differently, and then be able to, like you said, to know who's assigned to help you, look for that person to help you, and don't reject people because they're not saying what you want to say, what I hear. Because that's easy. That's an easy way out.
Right.
Because they're not saying what you want them to say. But look for people that's going to say the things like you are saying every week, Miss Deborah, in these books to help someone build their best life. And some of these things, I've looked at them and I've said, ouch. But they've been good information. And so I'm going to turn it back to you for your closing thought.
Okay, thank you so much. I always enjoy our time together, and we will be back
Yes.
next second Thursday. And I want to remind everybody that I will be here Saturday at 9:30 a.m. And I'm going to be talking about let's go for a ride in my new whip. So y'all got to come see what that's about.
That should be very interesting.
And then Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it's time to have that young men chat. And we're going to have our special guest, Raphael Roker. He's going to be on. So please join in at 6:30 next Tuesday. And June 12th, I'm super excited to have my second annual Men and Boys Conference.
Yay.
I got some heavy hitters that's going to be coming. So you got to tune in for this information. That's going to be put it on your calendars. That's going to be Saturday, June 12th, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So keep looking so you cannot miss out on that. And remember, building your best life is our business. That's not a slogan. That is our commitment to you. But as you travel on the road to building a better life, there will be distractions, rough terrain, detours, and pitfalls. Don't let any of those negative aspects of your journey stop you. Though they may slow you down, keep going to be a better you so that you can build your best life. Thank you. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday and your weekend. Love you. I hope to see you Saturday morning.
All right. Thank you, Miss Deborah.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.